What's up, everyone? So today I have an Ozark trail. It's a Walmart brand instant tent, and this is basically the instant shower. It's supposed to be 7 foot tall by 3.5 feet wide, and then there's 2 rooms, so you got a shower and a shitter. Both of them are combined. This should be similar to the original one that I had with all the poles and stuff, but this is an instant tent, so it should go up way faster. They claim it's supposed to go up in under a minute, so we'll see how that works out. So the carrying case that they give you is pretty robust and stout. The material is not real cheap. And then it comes in a box. Okay, let's take it out of the box. Originally, the instructions typically come detached, but when brands do this, it's really nice because you won't lose them and you won't throw them away because you're tired of seeing them. So that's pretty nice. So they give you a net, and this basically looks like it's to hang your stuff, like all your shower stuff in there. It's like a little pocket. They give you your stakes, and then you get one pole here. This is probably for the Rainfly. We'll see where to put that in a little bit. They give you the nice straps that you could reuse. They give you a bag, a water bag, to heat it up. It's black so that way the water gets hot inside. But of course we're gonna do our own water setup. And then they give you a divider. Typically I like throwing these back in the whole setup so that way it stays inside when I fold everything up. But this is a divider for, or this is the actual Rainfly itself. The divider is probably inside already. But yeah, I like to throw the Rainflies and dividers and everything back inside your stuff so that way it's easily able to keep track of. So just like the instant tent from Coleman, it's a hub in the center with all these poles. So let's see how easy it is to set up. So far that was actually really easy to put up. So it starts off like that. So from there, it's similar to the Coleman tent, except it doesn't extend the sleeves out this way. You do have, it's kind of a padded, same material as this fabric around these knuckles, so that way they don't poke through anything. You lift up on one end, and it looks like you actually have to use some force on this thing. Okay, so you can't just pull it straight up. You got to actually slide them hard like that, because everything's under compression to hold up that. So just like that, to hold up the bag of water when it's full. There. Wow, this thing's pretty tall, no doubt about it. Being one person, you want to make sure these are all the way down so that way you could get the Rainfly on first. But that's why I do these test runs, so that way I know how to put everything together, especially when time is of the essence and it's nighttime and you're mad because you put everything together and realize that you got to undo the process you just did. So we put the Rainfly on first. One thing that I do not like about instant tents at all is the fact that they have aluminum structures. Aluminum's pretty strong in itself, but I like the fiberglass rods because they add more spring to the system. And when you have fiberglass like stretching over, what it does is it kind of like pushes everything out. When it pushes everything out, it doesn't allow anything to buckle. So as you can see, with a little bit of wind, it wanted to fall over. So with the aluminum setup, you're going to be forced to actually anchor this whole thing down. And that's why they give you these straps and stuff. Okay, so that's going to be a mandatory thing you're going to have to do. Once you get the first strap strapped up at this top knuckle here, right below it, you get the second Velcro strap strapped here. You have bungee cords with a hook system that latch onto this little tab here. And what it does is it creates a tight retention arc on the top. So if you didn't have this this Rainfly put on, your tent will go all over the place. But by adding this, it did make it a little bit more stout. As you could tell, it kind of hunkered everything together from the top in, and then your bottoms will get all staked down. You have a stake area right in the front, because if not, everything's going to lift. And I don't mind putting the stakes in the shower setup because you want water to be able to run off on the tarp that's internal. So keep that in mind when looking at one of these. I do not like the whole aluminum setup though, how it slides in and out, because if you don't pull everything out together, it cams everything and you could potentially bend this stuff. These holes will not rotate because there's a flat spot on this inside that keep it from rotating. So when you pull it straight out, the pin right here always clicks in. You just got to make sure that this is set up right, because if not, you're going to be fighting this this little push tab. So when you're going like this and trying to pull up, if this isn't in place correctly, this Rainfly, you're going to be pulling up against it, and it's not going to allow it to click over. Here you have one Velcro set up there, and then you have another Velcro setup right there. Okay, and then as you make your way around, you have your little drawstring right here that's on shock cord to hunker everything down together. Okay, so this is a walk around of the whole setup once it's all in and down. Okay. This is the way the mechanisms work. All you do is push this button and it drops it. You have these plastic bushings that I don't like because over time that's going to crack. You're going to end up having to buy a new one, a new whole setup, because I don't believe they make these for replacements. Or if you have a 3D printer, I'm pretty sure you could print those pretty easily. But this is how everything's hooked into place. I mean, it's a matter of just disconnecting it and reconnecting it if you need to. Everything just slides up and down, so there's no need to disassemble anything really besides the Rainfly. And that's why they claim to put it up in 1 minute. So as far as the door is concerned, you have a zipper up here and you have a zipper below, which they could all be brought up to the top. It's a D-style door, so if you need to let it vent, you could still drop the top, just like so. Okay, it has this metallic finish on the inside. I don't know if that's like to keep it mildew resistant. And the nice thing about this one over the other one that I had in my camping videos is the divider is actually a zip-on one, so you don't have to worry about hanging anything. It's already there to keep the water in. Okay, so these are 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet each individual section. So I could walk through the door no problem without touching the top of my head, and including this one into the shower. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of bowed in right now because I'm not strapping anything down. You do have some side pockets here to put like your stuff in, and if it's soap or whatever it is, it'll leak out the bottom. Your zippers here are just straight pull downs, so that way you could tuck this thing behind this and let it breathe. Same with the front. And then they zip straight up, so if you need to zip them up, they just go straight up, and then they're locked in. As for the zipper on top, all it does is zip around, and then now you could take a shower while someone's using the restroom if you'd like to do that. Okay, so there's plenty of options when it comes to this setup. All right, and then the same thing goes for this side where your crapper would go. I don't like that they have a base on the crapper side because usually dirt just gets piled up in there. They should have just left it open because typically I put a tarp down anyway. Okay, so for the shower side, when you come inside, you could see the large opening there, and then you got a hook here which allows you to put the water bag right in, and as you can see, it's roped up at the top, so it kind of hunkers everything down together. You also have a little clip right here where you could hang something on. You have stuff over here right in the top for like your hose or your lantern. Same thing for these corners, the top of those corners, and then the very top up there. So there's plenty of areas to hang stuff from, depending on how you're going to use this setup. And then you have draw ties right there to keep this flap open if you need it to air out. Okay, so that's pretty unique. The picture shows that there's a little zipper somewhere along the bottom, which there's not on this one. Okay, and that's supposed to allow you to run like a power cable or shower straight to it, and they failed to install that on this one. I don't know if those were just the older models and they didn't take the picture down or what they ended up doing. Okay, and then you have, I don't know what that's for, another loop. Those are the loops that are already pre-assembled. You have a loop down here too as well, and then one right here. So also having that layer as a secondary layer that's already sewed in instead of one that you have to actually put in yourself is the fact that it creates a dam, so nothing goes into the area that you're going to stand in to use the restroom, especially when you have dirty shoes. This will get all muddy. So by having that dam set up, which is very important, it'll keep everything to one side as far as the water is concerned. So this is pretty well thought out. The only thing we're missing is that cutaway, so that way we can run some stuff through it. But I mean, we could always cut a hole into it and put a metal grommet in there, just like a tarp if we need to, or figure out something, maybe 3D print something. So it's not total lost cause, or you know, you could route it through the front if you have to run the water for it. Because this whole design was based on the water bag, but as we all know, the water bags kind of are crappy, and I mean, I wouldn't want that suspended right above your head. And I also think that's what also is going to bring it, weight it down and hold it in place, is by having that water bag in there. Okay, so your bag here comes with its own suspension rod. That's why that top piece was so big. And then this is a towel rod to hang your towels from, so that way they could dry. So it's pretty neat that they give you all this stuff for, this is typically like $200, but if you look around, it's about $120. So make sure you look out for those deals. Walmart was not the cheapest on this. Target was actually cheaper than Walmart, so keep that all in mind. Okay, so for the price point, do I recommend this? I do recommend it if you're not worried about the whole easy pop-up, having to lock everything down. So if you're like maybe at the beach, this isn't something that you're gonna wanna buy, only because it's real tall and the wind can knock it over. And you're not gonna really have anything to really pin anything down in the sand, because it's like loose dirt, you know, sand, it'll just wash away, where the stakes that they give you to lock this thing down, they'll end up pulling up. And since it's windy at the beach, this won't work out for you because it could still blow over really easily. especially when everything's zipped up. Do I recommend one that has fiberglass rods? Yeah, if you're able to weigh it down enough. The fiberglass rods are pretty nice because everything's pushed outward and controls the way the structure is going to hold up. The reason why this one's collapsing is because the pivot points have play in it, so that way everything could fold in and out, and also in the top. Whereas the ones with the fiberglass rods actually go into the mesh or your fabric here and slide across, so they're more robust. But if you're a camper and you got coverage and there's no wind and you have a place to actually lock everything down, this is highly recommended because of its ease of use. If you just like assembling stuff, I do recommend going with the other one, just because it is more robust in its structure contents. Okay, so that's my take on this setup. I do like the 2-room tent. I was thinking about doing just a 1-room tent, and I decided that wasn't the way to go, because you're taking a shower and you're using it for the restroom. So it's not because you're going to use them at the same time, but solely on the fact that you're going to use the shower, and the shower is going to be this size for most of them, or even a little bit shorter for like the instant pop-up ones. And the issue with those are you're not going to be able to put your clothes anywhere. You know, it's going to get wet. It's already 3.5 feet only internally. Okay, and then having this extra room, you could put your clothes on a table or something, like one of those TV trays or something, whatever you have in there, and you could put all your stuff in the dry section, and then you zip it up so you could get the wet section wet, and then drop this down so that way you have ventilation to dry it all out. So that's why I decided to stick with the 2-room tent. And my whole reasoning for the actual instant tent is because if you go camping late at night, you know, and you got this, your tent, other people's tents that you got to put up, lanterns, your food stuff, your barbecue, like all that stuff, it adds up in time. And, you know, by the time you assemble your camp, you're already 2 hours into the whole camping trip at night, and it's dark, and it's just a pain in the butt. At least this way, everything gets up ready, especially if you've been traveling a long time. At least you could throw this up really fast and use the restroom if you need it. So if you're all interested in the whole teardown of this whole thing, I'll do a time lapse. Stay tuned for that. But if not, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting on my channel, definitely consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one.